What we do know so far is that police and fire got a call at 3:30 this morning to respond to a fire happening just about 50 yards into the woods here off of exit 4 on 295. It wasn't until after that fire was put out that police discovered a badly burned body. This is every parent's worst fear and of course something that stuns the community. Last night, 2 boys fell into the Androscoggin River. This morning, as you can see behind me, search crews have returned to the scene here in Auburn to continue to search for one of those boys, the younger one, as his brother is struggling for life in the hospital, waiting to open it, and for good reason, because look at all these people that showed up to be the first 100 in line. They literally camped out overnight. And this is actually the first Krispy Kreme in Maine. It's planned to be one of 5. The one in Auburn, the second one already under construction, and it's actually the first freestanding Krispy Kreme in New England. So Saco especially is really excited that they chose it to happen right here. They did that for the population, for the traffic along Main Street, and for one special lady who is very excited about this. This is Alice Gagne. She is number 1. She came here at 3:30 yesterday morning to be number 1 in line. Why did you put yourself through that?
Because I wanted to be the first one to turn on that hot now light that will go on for the first time in Saco, Maine.
And we're just so excited because it's getting to be such a fun morning already and they haven't even started. So 11 o'clock is when the parade kicks off.
Don't forget.
People have been lining up here hours and hours now. This is going on until 3 o'clock. Get here soon because the parking is very limited. For now, we'll send it over to Todd, who knows about this snow that has moved down to Boston.
That's you, Todd.
Yeah, I have been saying for the last few weeks, when the snow comes, it's really going to come. So enjoy those warmer days while they lasted. Not anymore, though. Today, really raw, really cold. We're feeling that out here right now. Not so much wind at the moment, but there is a bit of a strong breeze. So that's why you're seeing all of this come right into my face at the moment. So excuse the squints. And of course, when it comes to the solar eclipse, even in Maine, it's not just where you view it, but how you view it. This makes it the 8th attempted or successful armed robbery in Greater Portland since last Tuesday, March 20th. This time it happened here at this Aroma Joe's coffee shop in South Portland on Western Ave. Police say a man walked up to the glass and tapped on the window with his gun. It's the training police officers hope they never have to use. Tuesday's annual active shooter response training at Marshwood Middle School was planned months before the deadly Parkland, Florida school shooting. But with that happening less than a week before, the impact is felt.
Hopefully, what happened adds a realness to this, and hopefully that'll make this training that much more, effective.
Units are training for multiple scenarios, including disarming the shooter, hostage negotiation, and victim response. Simulation bullets and firearms are being used. These people behind me are actors. They're representing injury victims, and they're wearing helmets for their safety.
You don't know what's around that corner. Your main goal is just to, identify the shooter and take action as quick as possible.
David Spinney is playing an injured party. He's a junior nearby at Marshwood High School. For him, seeing this officer training firsthand gives him more confidence than the drills at his school a few times a year.
We've had code purples, and with those we just sit in our classrooms quiet, lights off. It takes the anxiety off of stuff like knowing that these guys are getting training on how to handle this type of situation.
We can't avoid this topic. We have to be talking about this. I have a 13-year-old and, I talk to her about this stuff. Geez, could you imagine? What would you do?
Preparing for the worst, but hoping that day never comes. A mother desperate for a tip in the case of a Maine woman who has been missing for just over a year.
On Tuesday, investigators renewed a search of a property in Skowhegan where Tina Stadig was last seen. Police say that property belongs to an acquaintance of hers. News Center Maine spoke to her mother, who is begging anyone with information to come forward.
My stomach went up in my throat.
On Tuesday, Donna Carter was told that state police were resuming their search of a property in Skowhegan, the last place her daughter, 40-year-old Tina Stadig, was seen on May 28, 2017, before she disappeared.
We were here in December doing a search. It's a fairly expansive property, and due to winter conditions, we weren't able to continue what we needed to.
Carter hoped she might finally get some answers, but says the search came up empty.
I was really, really crushed. I felt like oh no, it's all over again.
Tina Stadig had been battling her demons. Drug addiction and struggles with mental illness led her to stay in shelters or sleep on friends' couches. But she called her mother and sisters regularly to check in on them and on her 2 sons. Carter says her daughter's problems didn't define her.
She was a good person. She had a big heart. She cared for people. She always wanted to help people, even when she couldn't even help herself. That was her teddy bear.
In the past year, scattered, unconfirmed sightings of Stadig have been reported from Skowhegan to Bangor. But Carter does not believe any are her daughter, whose disability account has not been touched since she vanished.
I know that she is gone. I just want somebody knows something. Somebody's got to know something. And I want somebody to speak up.
The woman who brought Tina Stadig into the world now asks for help bringing her home, even if that means laying her to rest.
If she would just call one more time, I would answer that phone. I would talk to her forever and ever and ever. I just wanted to know how much I love her and miss her.
As early as last night, people were speaking with us, letting us know that it wasn't because she was a political figure or a famous figure that they loved Barbara Bush. It wasn't just what she did that was the reason why they loved her. It was just because she was who she was. Portland Mayor Ethan Strimling was so confident the New England Patriots would beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl that he made a bet he never imagined he'd have to pay off.
I think we were all pretty confident with that. Oh man.
Thank God we didn't make this bet.
I know. Well, yesterday it was time to pay up in a room full of exuberant elementary school students.
An investigation is underway after police say they found a body in the Penobscot River. According to the Bangor Police Department, the owner of a boat that was tied up at one of the docks near the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge discovered the body under a dock early Saturday afternoon. In light of several governors recently saying they will refuse to send members of their National Guards to the U.S.-Mexico border for support, I asked Governor LePage if he would send Maines. His response? Absolutely. Jay, we're seeing now that North Korea may even be open to talks with the U.S. Do you think the Olympic Games are, as cliche as it is to say, do you think they bring people together during this time? Then I tabulated all 20 ballots. Okay, here's where what was intended to be a simple explanation of ranked choice voting actually becomes an example of a nightmare scenario for the Secretary of State's office. Here's why. Each pile of 4 different colored pieces of paper represents a student's ballot in ranked order. In the election, Green Apple has the least votes and is eliminated.
Going to bed at night and get up in the morning. They're probably the 2 hardest parts of the day.
For nearly 2 weeks, Jason McFarland hasn't comforted his 5-year-old son, Valerio, after a nightmare. And now he's living his.
And so it's hard to think thankful thoughts at night when you don't have those precious moments anymore.
When he is able to be thankful, it's for the community that his family had just moved into and who are now rallying around them.
The Lewis and Auburn communities have pulled together for somebody that they didn't know. They pulled together as if I had been a part of their family for a number of years.
Setting up a command post out of a taxi company, Mainers are giving their time.
And I would want whoever and anybody to help me if it was my child.
Their support.
It wasn't a matter of wanting, it was a matter of needing to be out here.
And their resources. All to help find the Army veteran's little boy who fell into the Androscoggin River on April 24th.
We got a grandson the same age, and I wouldn't want to not know where he is.
And just when he needed them most.
I served with Jason in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan.
The men who had McFarland 6 in the desert are here to help him through his toughest battle.
The military bond is unbreakable. I'm here because we want closure for the family. We want to find the little man.
I don't know what to say to them. Thank you is just a small token of what I want to say. I want to say so much more.
Maine game wardens were also back on the water Saturday, continuing their search for missing Valerio. When it comes to how long these search efforts will go on, both officials and volunteers say as long as it has to. In Auburn, I'm Katie Bavoso, News Center, Maine.